The reason you feel stuck, burnt out, or like you're constantly fighting upstream isn't because you lack skill or drive. It's because you've forgotten one of the most important rules of power. You have to take your own side. You're not here to impress the person next to you. You're here to finally harmonize your vision, your values, and your actions so you can achieve your destiny and become fulfilled. The problem that we face here, the problem that you face, in the core of all struggle, really, is acting against your own nature. It's that simple. Think of it this way. A gorilla is built for a forest. A dolphin is built for the sea. Both are powerful. Both are masters of their own domain. But failure begins when you give up your own true nature to adopt a false one based on external praise. When you try to behave like someone or something else would in their own environment. The point isn't whether you're a gorilla or a dolphin. You might be the hummingbird, built for rapid exploration. Or you may be the wolf, designed to follow your own knowing across new territory. The question really is, are you honoring that? Or are you trying to be something else because you were told that you should be something else? Or because people praised you when you behaved the way that they wanted you to? When we act against our own nature, we create massive contradictions that drain our power. It goes something like this. You adopt a work style that's praised by your industry, even though it depletes your natural energy reserves. You make critical decisions based on external logic, while actually silencing your own internal guidance system. You actually build a life that earns external approval, but feels like a foreign country to your own soul. You say yes to opportunities that look good on paper, but clash with non-negotiable core values. You already know what this feels like. It's the friction, the resistance, the burnout. This isn't a sign of weakness. It's actually nature's feedback. It's telling you that this is not who you are. And your first step to winning is to stop acting out a role that you were never meant to play and to actually reclaim the power of being yourself. So how do you reclaim that power? Not with a 100-page workbook, but with a simple 3-step process. Really a 3-step mental framework, which I call the Harmony Audit. And I'm going to walk you through it right now. And you'll see how easily you can actually find your own answers. And step 1 is that we're going to find your values by first figuring out and finding out what you hate. Because we get so wrapped up in thinking about what we should want, we lose sight of our true desires. So the fastest way to figure out what you truly value is often to identify what you absolutely hate. And the reason for this is because we actually hate that which opposes what we value. Think about it. If you hate long, pointless meetings, it's because you value your time and energy. If you hate dark rooms and cramped offices, it could be because you value sunlight and open spaces. If you can't stand small talk and fake laughter, it's likely that you value real connection and authenticity. If you hate the sound of loud engines and constant noise, it's because you value peace and quiet. So you see how that works? What you hate instantly reveals the value hidden behind it. And notice the pattern. We act to get the physical thing, the big window, the rural home, because we deeply value the underlying energy that it provides, the sunlight, the quiet, the space to breathe, which brings us to step 2. We build your vision from your values. Now for step 2, those values you just uncovered, they aren't random principles. They are actually the architectural framework of your vision, fragments of your vision. Your vision isn't some distant dream that you have to invent. It's the world that is naturally built when all of your core values exist in the same place at the same time. So let's assemble the pieces here. Look at the values you found in step 1. Maybe you value sunlight and open spaces, peace and quiet, authenticity and real connection. What does a world look like where all of those things are true at the same time? It's not just a big window. It's a home office sanctuary flooded with natural light, where you have uninterrupted blocks of time for deep work. It's not just avoiding small talk. It's structuring your week around meaningful, one-on-one conversations that actually energize you. This is how we dig deeper. By knowing the core principles, we can begin to fill in the sensory details that actually make the vision real. If you value pleasure and comfort, what does that actually smell like in your world? Maybe it's fresh coffee and old books. What does it taste like? Maybe it's having chocolate boxes in every reading nook of your house. The detail reveals the vision. It reveals your vision. And the vision itself actually clarifies and filters the details. You're not inventing a dream. You're simply describing the world your soul already wants to live in. Which brings us to step 3, which is that you're going to set your boundary. You're going to set your boundary by filtering your reality. Finally, with your values as a compass and your vision as a map, as a proper target, we get to the most important step, the most powerful step. This isn't about adding more to your to-do list. It's about protecting your energy by creating a boundary. Your vision becomes the ultimate filter for every decision, for every request for your time, for every item on your calendar. Just look at your week ahead. For every commitment, ask a simple question. Does this lead me closer to my sanctuary, or does it keep me in the wasteland? That forced networking event, you actually filter it against that value of authentic connection. The answer may be an immediate no. You don't just dread it, you actually decline it, because it actually has no place in the world you're building. That weekly performance report that drains you, you actually filter it against your value of time and energy. You see it not as a task to dread, but as an energy leak to plug. The aligned action here is to challenge its necessity, to automate it or to delegate it, to reclaim that energy for work that actually matters towards your vision. This is the sort of clarity. You begin to say no to everything that is not aligned. Every no to the draining and the misaligned is actually the most powerful yes that you can give to your vision. It's how you clear the land to build your sanctuary. And that's the audit. It's that simple. You can get it in my description, a physical copy that you can use for free. And by finding your values, building your vision, and using that to filter your reality, you instantly uncover the core principles underlying your true nature and the powerful boundaries that define your life and actually protect that essence. So you have your map now, you know what your vision is, but now that you've turned your ship, you're facing a massive headwind of resistance from your old life. And you know what I'm talking about. This is the pressure that naturally arises when you choose your vision and your values. And that pressure is what causes most people to actually give up. People fail, and you will fail, when you try to push harder against that headwind, because you don't actually overcome the headwind by fighting it. You actually overcome it by making it irrelevant. And you do this by pulling one simple lever. It's actually a 2-part thought process, so simple that you can use it on any problem for the rest of your life. And here it is. First, think of one goal you have right now, just one. It could be to land a new client, or write that book you've been talking about, or to strengthen the bonds of your relationship. And once you've got that goal, there are only 2 paths. There's the draining path and the energizing path. And in order to find it, you just have to ask yourself 2 questions. What is one way that I could do this, achieve this goal, that would feel draining, that would feel heavy, or like I'm playing some sort of role that I'm not meant to play? Let's say you were trying to land a big client. Maybe for you, the way that feels draining and heavy is sending 100 cold emails, which may be your old first mate's way of doing business. Back before you were the captain of your own ship, back before you turned this thing around. And that's really akin to a bear hunting like a lion, right? It's not your way. It's not how you prefer to do business. And that's why it feels draining and heavy, which leads to the next question. Now that you know what you don't want to do to get there, and that is, what is some ways that I could do this that would feel energizing? It would feel natural. I'm truly being myself. And if we go back to landing that big client, closing that big deal, maybe that value you have for deep connection leads you to realize that it would be more energizing for you to have that one single deep conversation with someone that you actually admire, somebody that you actually want to work with. Not to cast wider, but to go deeper and build that relationship out. That's the captain's way. That's the bear hunting like a bear instead of a lion. You see the difference there? Both actions are aimed at the same vision, but one is a fight and the other is pure flow. The draining path is actually you fighting that headwind. It's you trying to succeed using methods that violate nature, your own true spiritual nature. Because even if you win that way, it feels hollow. And you're actually just as tired tomorrow after achieving the thing you wanted because you did it in a way that didn't feel great. And the energizing path is you catching the wind, having the wind at your back. It's the path of your unique genius, the gifts you have that nobody else does. And when you choose that path, the work itself is recharging. The resistance from the outside world doesn't just vanish, especially overnight, especially when you've just turned your ship around. But when you're properly oriented, when you're going towards what you want, your way, rather than towards what you want, their way, the wrong way, the other way, the draining way. When you do it your way, you have an internal engine of energy, and you move far away from the headwind that was blasting you in the face. And that's the entire secret. The failure to stick to a vision is often always the failure to choose the energizing path. You actually misinterpret the exhaustion from the draining path as a sign that the dream is actually wrong for you, when in reality, it's not the dream that's wrong. It's actually the fact that you're trying to get there without actually trying to be yourself, without actually doing it your way. Your job's not to suffer for your dream. It's to find the path to your dream that makes you feel most alive. So once you get on the energizing path, once you're there, how do you actually stack the deck so the winning in your life is inevitable? And this is where many gurus will tell you to double down on your strengths. And they are actually half right, half. But this advice contains a hidden trap, one that can imprison you for life if you let it. The trap is this: and you might actually be good at something that drains your soul. Your virtues can actually be used against you. I've felt this in my own life. I've been personally praised and rewarded for skills that other people value, skills that they loved, but wasn't what I wished to be loved for. Being valued for producing results that don't fulfill you is the fastest path to burnout, which is why the real unfair advantage isn't just your strength, it's your aligned advantage. This is the skill set and the skill that not only produces results, but also energizes you in the process. So how do we find it? I'm just going to give you a simple barometer here, a cheat code. First, identify the skills that people call on you for, the ones that feel like no big deal to you, but actually benefit them more than they actually energize you. These are your draining strengths. Now, to find your aligned advantage, look for the skill that passes this one simple test. After you do it, do you feel an energizing desire to do it again? That's the signature of your own nature. That is the work you'd call on yourself for to build your own dream. But there's one final step, and this is how you apply it with precision. You take your aligned advantages and you filter them through the specific demands of your vision. In essence, you divide your strengths by the virtues your desired outcome requires. And this is absolutely critical because the virtues that make you a world-class ice cream shop owner, like mastering customer service systems and inventory, will not get you a Grand Slam championship in tennis. And the relentless drilling of a tennis pro will not help you build a beloved community dessert spot. Your vision dictates which gifts that you're actually going to bring to the field, which is what real commitment actually looks like. It's the elimination of all alternatives. You stop letting people use your draining strengths and opt for the consistent, virtuous action of applying your relevant, aligned advantage to your vision until you have momentum. Because leverage isn't just being good at something. Leverage is applying the right skill to the right problem your way and at the right time for you. It's when what you love to do is the exact thing that your vision needs you to do. That is how you stop just playing the game and start designing a game that you were built to win. So you have your aligned advantage. You have the engine. Now this is the part where most people will tell you to brace yourself, to endure the hardship. And this is where we part ways with them completely. Because what if hard isn't the price of success, but it's actually the cost of misalignment? What if the struggle, the burnout, and the friction that you feel are not actually a noble part of the journey, but they're actually the very signs that you're at war with your own nature? Hard is ignoring the wisdom of your own design. Hard is fulfilling a draining role because you're good at it. Hard is producing desires you don't truly want for people who don't care that it's breaking you. The framework we just built is not a new way to endure a journey of suffering on the way to a destination that may never arrive. It's actually the path to make life go from hard to easy, from oppressive to liberating, from draining to profoundly fulfilling. And here is the final secret. Your vision is not just a static destination that you suffer to reach. It is an active, magnetic force. When you align with it, it begins to condition you. It pulls you forward, sculpting away those inauthentic parts and actually calling forth the person that you were always meant to be. The process of becoming is now, in itself, a profoundly fulfilling reward. Your own true nature is the most nourishing and fulfilling and potent force that you actually have. To stop contradicting it is to win. So let's bring this all together, not as a to-do list, but as the 5 stages of liberation. You recognize the prison. You stopped seeing burnout as a badge of honor and saw it as nature's feedback. The bars of a cage that were actually built from acting against your own nature. And then you drew the map to freedom. With the Harmony Audit, you gave yourself the coordinates to your own sanctuary. A world built from your deepest values and vision. You chose the liberating path. You learned to use the draining versus energizing path as your compass, making every choice a step away from oppression and towards your true nature. You fueled the journey with your genius. You identified your aligned advantage, turning the voyage from a grind into a joyful expression of your true, unique power. You embody the captain now. You understand that this system creates a feedback loop. Acting from your nature feels good, which makes you want to do it more. which in turn makes you more successful, which makes you feel even better. You embrace the dual rewards, the joy of becoming your true self, and the satisfaction of manifesting the world that you were meant to create. And this is how we take a fulfilling outcome and make it into a fulfilling process. This is how you take your own side. This is how we use the harmony between your actions and your desires to create a life so authentic it becomes a beacon for anyone who shares your vision. And this is how you win.